don't know how to act. Yeah, I'm pointing out facts. If I point a finger, that's point of attack. Good point, who's next? Flag on the plate, now I'm causing them death. We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan, never live with regret. Yes, sir. Go to my neck, go to my neck. Burgundy flex, who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Beat my gas, look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep? Commanders, where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders, where my soldiers? Left side. Commanders, where my soldiers? Right in the middle. Commanders, where my soldiers? High off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feet the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Welcome, one and all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to episode 42 of the Commanders Gridiron Report here on January 17th. I am your host, Drew Willingham, and we are back for a very special edition. So I've got two special guests tonight. We're going to start the show off with one who's definitely getting ready to attend one great game this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the man, the myth, the legend, someone who looks dapper in those suits each and every game day that I get jealous of. Man, looking like $1 million out there again tomorrow. Welcome to the show, Lake Lewis Jr. Welcome there, sir.
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, I appreciate you taking the time there again, sir, as we have one game that we would not have expected to see going back to the beginning of this season. Going back, August preseason, looking at how things were from last year, coming off of 4 wins. This team, I think, surprised almost everyone with coming through and tripling their wins from last year just in the regular season. They definitely did me, a lifelong fan, and then someone like yourself who covers the team. We got a lot to look forward to in the future with what's happened so far in 2024. And before we, get started, we got to take it into that first segment where we can really break it down with all that and go into the 1st and 10.
They are the Washington Commanders. New name, new marks, new uniform.
Soldiers, are we ready for Operation Burgundy Max?
Here with the 1st and 10, looking back to last week and how we got this far. Commanders go into Tampa Bay and beat the Buccaneers by a score of 23-20 based on the Doink for the divisional. Lake, looking at this and how things transpired last week, what were your thoughts throughout this game?
I mean, I thought that they were going to have a chance to win the game. I actually predicted last week that they were going to win the game 23-21 on a last-second Zane Gonzalez field goal, and that's what happened. I was a point off. I didn't expect for it to doink in, but, the way this season has been going and with the magic and how everything's transpired for them, it was only fitting that it hit the crossbar and went in, So I'll take them as you can get them. They move on, obviously, to play a tough divisional game against Detroit. But when you look at that Buccaneers game, it was exactly what they've done all season long, especially to close the season out. They keep games close, and they figure a way to win it out at the very end, and that's what they did. And I kind of have a tendency to think that that's probably what's going to happen Saturday night if they were to win.
You have the ball's in Jaden Daniels' hands. It's less than 2 minutes to go, and they're within scoring to take the lead. I'm not betting against him at this point. I mean, I was only able to attend one game this year, and it was the Hail Mary game where they came back against the Bears. That was, the one game I went to was you look at the Bengals game, you look at that game, you look at the Eagles game, you look at the comebacks this team has made this year. I mean, I couldn't have picked a better game to go to in my opinion. I was sitting on the 10-yard line, like 3 rows up. Like Darrell Owens got a picture of me with my championship belt, like in that bottom corner over there, up in the stands, and it was a great moment. I tell you what, as a fan, best experience. I would say my best experience in the media up in the booth with you guys was when Dwayne Haskins got his first win against the Lions when he was, as a starter for Washington back then. We saw some pretty bad teams.
Talked about that in a while.
It's been a while since that one happened, but just thinking of moments with these comeback wins, it definitely takes you back the past 20 years, 19 years to be exact, when the last time this team had achieved a playoff win. Mark Brunell was there. Joe Gibbs was there. I used to call him the Gibbous. So Joe Gibbs was there. He was there getting it done. It was the last time we saw a playoff win. You know, going into Detroit, there's a lot of Detroit fans out there saying that there's no chance that the Commanders have on this Saturday. Going into this past week, if we were going to play the Detroit Lions, I would have probably agreed with them. But based on what we've seen this past week and how Jaden has grown, is it far-fetched for me to think that they really have a good, true shot to beat the Lions this Saturday night?
Yeah, of course they have a chance, and it's not wishful thinking on your part or anyone's part for that matter. And I think the big thing that people have to understand is it's not about Detroit. We know Detroit's a great team, and we know Detroit – on paper is the better football team. Make no mistake about that. They have more talent. Their system's entrenched for the past 3-4 years. They've been building for these moments. Make no mistake about it. But the difference is this. No offense to Jared Goff. Jared Goff is a really good quarterback, but no mistaking, he's not a top 7-8 quarterback in the NFL. He's not. He's playing well within a system that works for him, and he works for that system. Jaden Daniels is a little different. Not a little different, a lot different. Jaden Daniels, to me, has already ascended to the 6th best quarterback in the NFL, and that's just on respect for the 5 I have in front of him: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Matt Stafford, ironically. Okay? Matt Stafford did win a Super Bowl. People have to remember that. But for Jaden Daniels, Washington has one of those guys as opposed to the other way. You know, so when you have an it player at quarterback, as long as he can put his jersey on any given Sunday, you have an opportunity to win the football game. If Jaden Daniels is the best player on the field on Sunday, they win, and they've done it 13 times. Probably was the best player on the field in 14 or 15 of their games. Okay? If he's no worse than the 2nd best player on the field, which I have a tendency to believe would be the worst outcome for Washington tomorrow night in Detroit, if he's the 2nd best player on the field, well, guess what? They still have an opportunity to win the game. So it's not wishful thinking, my friend. And yesterday I had Dan Miller on. I go back with Dan. He used to be in the area. Now he's the play-by-play voice for the Lions. And he did say that Washington definitely has the attention of the Lions and Dan Campbell and everyone involved. Of course, you're going to have some fans that say that they have no shot, but those are fans that are speaking from their heart, not their minds, not their brains.
I mean, even going back to 1991, the last time that these two teams faced off in the playoffs, Barry Sanders was there, and still a poor taste in his mouth looking back on it 33, 34 years later and how that transpired. You know, they've definitely got a lot of motivation within that game right there. But with Jared Goff throwing those 5 interceptions in that one game, not too long ago, they still found a way to win.
They did.
You know, looking at this team that we have in Washington now, I don't think you can throw that many interceptions and get away with it against this team because, you got a team with the Lions who have set the precedent, I'd say, in the 2020s as a team going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
This season with Dan Quinn, we've seen him do very similar things. And I was yelling at the TV last week when I thought he should have taken the points, a couple of times. There was 2 times when he should have taken the field goal. I was yelling at it. I think I even went on Facebook.
Dan, what are you doing? We got to talk about this later if it doesn't work. But
yes.
And I said it's the reason why I'm in the press box, and there's a reason why he's coaching. So I mean, that's just the way it is. And you know what it is, my friend? It's because they know with number 5, what they have is so unique and rare in today's game. Like I said, there's only 5-6 other guys like that. And they've been around for a minute. This guy's a rookie, for God's sakes, doing the things that they're doing. So when you have one of those guys, it changes the way you can call a game. It changes everything about your approach on Sundays. You can go for it because you'll get the ball back, and this guy will make up for it if he doesn't get it this go around. So that's how they're living. They're living on the edge, but we don't have to play it safe because you can live on the edge with a quarterback that's an elite talent.
Now, going back to last week before facing the Lions, Baker Mayfield makes that fumble. All right. And this game was as close as it was going into halftime tied. really, I was just like yourself. I was calling for it on last week's episode that they were going to beat the Buccaneers by 7 points or less, somewhere in there, and I was close because it was within a field goal right there at the end as time expired. Looking back at that fumble, you know, I don't usually always play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game, all right? But looking at this with how he fumbled, if that doesn't happen, are we sitting here this week talking about this matchup against the Lions?
I believe we would be, because the score at the time was 17-13. Excuse me, with what I think a little less than 10 minutes left in the game. So it wasn't something where you felt like Tampa was just controlling the game. It was one of those games where you felt like whoever would have the ball last probably would win the game, because that's how it had been going. It was a very physical football game, and you did think, you know, a big play by the defense on either side is probably going to flip this game and turn it. And it just so happened to be it was Washington that recovered the fumble by Baker Mayfield. But Jaden and Washington did their part. They didn't turn the ball over. They didn't even punt. So you knew it could come down to the very end. You knew it was going to be a tightly fought football game. And that's why I said 23-21. I have the very same feeling for this Detroit game. I really, truly believe it's not going to be that 55-point spread over and under that's out there. I don't think they're getting the 55, although they're 2 top 5 offenses. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a defensive war. I truly believe that. And the edge does go to Detroit as far as overall playmakers on their offense. But I just think that the way things are shaping up for Washington, you know, when you've seen a magical season, and Detroit's having a really good season, they are. But I saw them lose to Buffalo, and Buffalo hung 48 on them. I saw them lose to Tampa, where meaning Detroit was in the red zone 6 times in that week 2 loss to Tampa and didn't get anything. That's not magical to me. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, when you see Hail Marys, when you see 79-yard touchdown passes with 20 seconds left in games, when you see playoff field goals hit off the goalpost and go in, that's magical. And that's why I believe there's something about this team. You cannot write them off. And I believe this game is going to be eerily similar to last week in Tampa. I truly believe that.
I just hope that we can have another one of these moments at the end of a game at some point soon with our new quarterback.
You like that? You like that?
You know
we need that.
I don't think you're going to ever get that from Jaden. That's not that Jaden is California cool, man. That's what I call him. He's the kid just breathes confidence, but it's a quiet assassin confidence, and that's what he is. He's a guy that will reach into your chest. Now, don't get me wrong, but he's going to do it. He's going to do it smiling at you, as opposed to scoffing at you.
And internalizing the fact that he really enjoys serving up these. It's awesome to go from a team that was like this to now we can truly enjoy transitions like my man Cole Johnson made with this one.
This has been yet another Beating a Dead Horse presentation.
And truly get to be on the outside and playfully rub it in. As we've got several Cowboys friends out there in and out of the media or whatnot like yourself that we got to poke fun at each other sometimes. We've taken the brunt of the poking for 20 plus years. You look at the regime with the ownership, you know, the energy that I felt. This was the first time going into the stadium as a fan this year in several years. And there is a huge difference between being upstairs or down on the field as a fan and seeing things from the previous ownership to now what our new ownership has been able to do with the team. Can you tell us a little bit more about how things have been inside the pressers and so on and so forth, on how the energy is just with doing that as well?
Yeah, man, it's been a breath of fresh air. It truly has. You know, there's so many layers to covering a team, you know, from the relationships that you forge with coaches and players and front office folks, to relationships you forge with your fellow media people. And for years, I kind of could say some of us were tripping over our own feet, not me, but some people were tripping over their own feet looking for the same stories because there were no stories. It was gloom or doom. That's just what it was. It was, what's the worst story you can find, where they were already out there. But to be able to cover X's and O's, Jimmy's and Joe's, as they say, it's been an awesome feeling. It for me this year has kind of taken me back to when I was in college at Penn State covering football. I played basketball, but I was the student sports director, and I called the football games for the student station. And it just took me back to like a raw feeling of football, like you could smell the grass on the field, the fans were there, and it wasn't anything negative to talk about. And when they went on the little losing skid, for 3 games, it was, I still kept telling people, no, this is a playoff football team. I was telling my better half here at home, no, this is a playoff football team. They're just trying to, they have to learn how to win these close games. They have to learn how to close teams out. And she was like, you think that'll ever happen? 6 times in a row, we've seen them close teams out. And so the loss to Dallas, as bad as loss as you could have under those circumstances. And the loss to Pittsburgh was kind of demoralizing because they outplayed Pittsburgh for most of the game. But sometimes you have to go through those things in order to learn how to get better. And I think for us in the media, it's the same thing. We've been so trained to cover train wrecks that a lot of my colleagues for a while just couldn't believe what they were seeing. And I knew what I saw with Jaden going back to the first day of rookie minicamp. I went out and said it, and people were like, oh, here we go, selling us Kool-Aid and all that. And I'm like, no, I've never seen anything like what I just saw in that rookie minicamp. And then it, transpired in minicamp when the veterans came. Then it was training camp. Then it was preseason. And naturally throughout this season. So I think for all of us, it's just been a breath of fresh air to be able to finally see what real football looks like. I was much younger when they were winning the Super Bowl, so I didn't appreciate what I was seeing and witnessing all those years because I just thought that was the norm. And then I realized for the last 30 years, no, the norm has been being bad. So hopefully this is our new norm now for everyone, fans and media alike.
They had a decent 20-year run from the 70s and then, of course, the run of the 80s into the early 90s. But I was 5 when they won that Super Bowl. Yeah. So I feel your pain, brother. I can only remember what I've seen on NFL films. So I know exactly where you're coming from. But speaking of the better half, I know you got some plans tonight. You got to get to that. But before you go, if you could tell the viewers here between Team MBS Media and Sartoba Media, who are airing this right now, where the people can find you at.
Sure, and I appreciate you having me on. You can check me out on social media at Lake Lewis Jr. So it's Lake Lewis with the JR at the end. And then also you can subscribe to my podcast, which is the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. You can watch that and subscribe to it on YouTube, or you can subscribe to the audio versions on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's on there. And then you can go to sportsjourney.com where I have some younger guys running that, doing a great job. And then you can check me out a lot on ABC in DC, doing some post-game recaps and breakdowns with those guys.
Hey, I've been an admirer from afar from what you've been doing over the years. Thank you for taking the time to be here tonight, brother, and look forward to doing this again with you sometime.
Absolutely. Next time I come on, we'll have a lot more time. But I appreciate you reaching out. You got a good thing there, man. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Take care and enjoy the game tomorrow night.
Okay, take care now.
Thank you. Well, that was Lake Lewis Jr., everyone. Thank you for tuning in for that. We do have plenty more of a show to go. This show is not over, okay? Don't you worry. We got plenty more of a program left tonight. That was just the first segment. We got Wole Akinso coming here tonight to discuss more of the Commanders football, and we have the Burgundy Flex review to get to next. But before we do that, we're going to take it to our first commercial break, and when we come back, we'll take it into the Burgundy Flex review.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy, and now begins a future one of matrimony or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another Beating a Dead Horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network, in association with Comey Media Incorporated, proudly present The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Live every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central.
And gentlemen, hey, look, hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. $sign D Willie 87. Go ahead, hit him up on the Cash App, and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen, stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Some Willie Bucks.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text. Delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
Commanders, where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders, where my soldiers? Left side.
Welcome back to the Commanders Gridiron Report, episode 42. We just checked in with Lake Lewis Jr., and coming up soon is Wole Akinso. On this episode on January 17th, 2025, we are mother-fathering live, as it is time to discuss more action here tonight within the Washington Commanders. They got a pretty big game coming up tomorrow, but we have to finish reviewing last week's game. And with that being said, let's go ahead and take it into the Burgundy Flex review.
Go to my neck, Burgundy Flex. Pour out the smoke, we bringing it home. Be like that.
And just disregard it saying "and" twice there in the caption. I'll go ahead and take it down as yes, we're going to take a look at the review from this past week's game within Wild Card Weekend. Now, they faced a team that we just talked about with Lake. That is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winning the game 23-20 to advance to the divisional round. And yes, again, in-depth look at the highlights from the Wild Card round. Here, got to take a look at Jaden Daniels, completing 24 of 35 passes in completions out of attempts for 268 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Also added in 13 carries for 36 yards on the day. You know, I'd say our top 2 receivers on the day, again, was Terry McLaurin for another week. He has definitely been crushing it throughout the 2024 regular season. And here in 2025 in this wild card game, has 7 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. De'Ami Brown adds 5 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown as well, receiving the 2 passing touchdowns from old JD, Jaden Daniels. Austin Eckler added a little bit of production, was the top leading rusher for the running backs behind Jaden Daniels as the quarterback, had 8 rushes for 27 yards on the day, but also added 3 receptions for 26 yards on the day, having over 50 yards total between 11 possessions with the ball there, Austin Eckler. Looking back on this, Zach Ertz didn't put up so much production with his receptions and his yards, but he did a lot with blocking and was a really big contributor within this past week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The defense of the Commanders stepped up, and they stepped up big in this game as Bobby Wagner had 5 tackles with 3 assists and even included a half a sack. And someone who's 34 years old, he'll be 35 in June. Definitely big production from him, somebody who's already a Super Bowl champion. When you look at his body of work with what he did with the Seattle Seahawks, and then leaving there and going to Los Angeles, but he wasn't a part of the LA Rams Super Bowl team as they had won the year prior. So he only has the one Super Bowl. He is still hungry and looking for another one here with the Washington Commanders. And the question is, will it happen this year? We got a lot more to answer within that when Wole Akinso joins us here in a little bit. And so he'll be here within the next 15 minutes. But looking at how things are with this defense, Marshon Lattimore even stepped up, had 4 tackles with 3 assists in this past game. There's been a lot of hate, a lot of shade thrown in the way of Marshon Lattimore in certain cases where people don't feel like he's lived up to that trade so far. And there can be arguments that are said within that because, once the team finally got him after being out on IR for 4 weeks since the trade happened from the Saints to the Commanders, it took him a month to get integrated into the game because he was still recovering from that hamstring injury. Then plays a game or two and then is back out on the injured reserve. Well, not on the injured reserve, but on the injury list again. And then we haven't really seen but lackluster production from him. In this past game, Marshon Lattimore did contribute. I mean, he had more tackles and more production than Jeremy Chin and Frankie Louvu and Quan Martin in this past game. So for those of you out there who are saying that Marshon Lattimore hasn't lived up to the trade, I would say yes, in certain aspects. He has missed 5 or so games since being traded over. But when he is playing in the game, when he is actually in there, he is making an impact. So it's like a 50-50 toss-up. If he plays and plays very well in this upcoming game against the Lions and they come out with the win, I'm pretty sure I'm going to flip it to where I'm totally accepting of that trade at this point. But right now, when it comes to Marshon Lattimore, I'm on the fence. It's going to depend on how he does in this upcoming game against the Lions for me to say if that trade is successful at this point or not. Luke McCaffrey definitely did add some production in for the kick returns against the Buccaneers as he had 2 returns for 60 yards, averaging 30 yards per return. And Jamison Crowder only had 1 punt return as Buccaneers only punted it once, but returned it for 17 yards. Zane Gonzalez is the story of the day here with this Burgundy Flex review against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a kicker who is the 6th mother-fathering kicker since Brandon McManus, since training camp, when they let him go previous to that because of his allegations that he had that we're not going to talk about at this time, as I've already covered it enough earlier in this season. We saw him go to Green Bay, and we already know what happened within that story last week. Don't even get me started on that again. But right here and now, we're on the 6th kicker of the season here in Washington, and Zane Gonzalez does what Zane Gonzalez does. He had 3 kicks for 3. He was 3 of 3 on kicks for the day, 100%. And as long as 52 yards definitely made an impact on the game. As between that and extra points, he contributed 11 total points for the Commanders this past week for their total of 23 points scored against the Buccaneers. Looking at this for what it is, you get down to the final play of the game. You call a timeout to where you're kicking a field goal. This is basically where we're at with this past game because you look at how things were at halftime. It was a 10-10 game. And just like Lake had said earlier, we were at 17-13 when that fumble happened where the Buccaneers were up 17-13. Get to the fourth quarter, and the Commanders, are down or had scored 7 points to the Buccaneers 3, and the game was tied because upon that fumble from Baker Mayfield, the Buccaneers go down and kick a game-tying field goal to where it's tied up at 20 at this point. Looking at how things are at this point, when they get the ball back and they run it all the way down the field, you got a few seconds left and you kick it. You call a timeout, line up, you kick it, doink off the right upright, and then on in as that nearly gave everyone a heart attack. The now christened Cardiac Commanders, as they were the Cardiac Kids back in the day when they were the Redskins, but now they are the Cardiac Commanders. Looking at how things ended with that game at 23-20, Zane Gonzalez is definitely deserving to be up there as an honorary Soldier of the Week, and we'll get to the Soldier of the Week picks here shortly. Got to give a shout out before we get to those picks, as Dante Hill, my guy up in here, the Eagles fan, who is part of the final 8 within the NFL and the playoffs that are playing this week, is here checking out the Rivals show. But that's also because he's a good supporter here for Sartoba Media and what we carry on the brand. Mickey Delaney says, sorry I am late. Well, it's all good, brother. I'm glad that you are actually here. Whether you're late or you're early or you're here for the whole thing, I appreciate all of you because you're taking time out of your day to watch this product brought to you by
Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
That was also a perfect moment for me to get a sip of water. Now, shenanigery to the side, back to the football. Here with the Burgundy Flex review. I called it last week. If those of you who were watching last week, I said this Commanders team was going to win by 7 points or less against the Buccaneers team. And they did. They won by less. It was 23-20. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, said The Rock, and it doesn't, because the final score is all that matters when the clock hits 0. And when the clock hit 0, the Commanders won on another comeback victory led by JD. Good old JD, Jaden Daniels. Looking at how things were, that's the 6th comeback he has had this year. He has been a breath of fresh air for this team, like Lake Lewis said earlier in the show. And it has been a joy to watch when we look at how things transpired for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team and how things ended for that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, I should say. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take this on into our next segment when we look at who those MVPs were for this past week in the Soldiers of the Week.
Where my soldiers, right side, Commanders. Where my soldiers, left side.
And here for the Soldiers of the Week, we're going to acknowledge the standouts from the wild card game. And those standouts go like this. Dyami Brown, somebody that we have not talked about a lot this season, and someone who hadn't received as much praise from his coaches like he had in this past week in the entire time he's been with Washington. So it was nice to see that. We'll break that down a little bit more here in a few. But Dyami Brown has 5 receptions for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. You also look at what Terry McLaurin did, 7 receptions for 89 yards as well, but 1 reception touchdown as well. So he had 2 more receptions, but they had the same amount of receiving yards. So productivity-wise, Dyami Brown did more with less. But the one thing that we could say is one person's been doing more with less all season long, and that is Jaden Daniels. You know, he has been the spark to this offense. 24 of 35 in completions out of attempts for 268 passing yards this past game with 2 passing touchdowns. He also had 13 carries for 36 rushing yards, averaging 2.8 yards per carry. That is a little bit of a slide as far as his numbers and productivity goes per carry. But I'm okay with that as long as you still find ways to win. The concern I have with that is when we look back at these numbers and then you look in comparison to what the running backs did for the Commanders this past week, this isn't going to cut it as far as your top leading rusher, as Jaden Daniels was, having 13 carries for 36 rushing yards and being your top leading rusher over Austin Eckler, who had 5 less carries and accumulated 27 yards. He had 8 carries for 27 yards, at 3.4 yards per carry in this past game. This type of production ain't going to cut it against the Lions. That's the one thing I'm concerned about. When you're doing that, even though the Buccaneers defense is pretty decent and has been a big part of why they got this far, the Lions defense, even though they are banged up, they truly bite off kneecaps. And Jaden Daniels, the type of production he's had all year, he's put up better numbers running throughout the majority of the year. He actually was humanized a little bit with those 2.8 yards per carry this past week. But the rest of this team, Eckler and Robinson and McNichols, the lack of production in this past game against the Buccaneers, we've seen several games like that throughout this year, but the Commanders have found ways to win. If I'm going to sit here and tell you that Jared Goff can't throw 5 interceptions like he did in that one game about a month ago or so and still find a way to win, the Commanders aren't going to be able to get by with having their leading rusher as their quarterback with 36 rushing yards in the game on 13 carries, followed by their next leading rusher with 8 carries for 27 yards and no touchdown, followed by their next leading rusher, their third leading rusher with 10 carries on the day for 16 yards, averaging 1.6 yards per carry, and that's Brian Robinson Jr. So if you're sitting here wondering why I didn't have anybody else who ran the ball on the Soldiers of the Week list besides the quarterback who was the leading rusher of 13 carries for 36 yards, averaging 2.8 yards per carry, that's the reason why. Because the other running backs in this game had a very, very hard time finding their impact into the game as far as into a positive side, because when you have Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr. combining for 18 carries for 43 rushing yards on the day, 18 carries, 43 rushing yards. Let that sink in. They're trying to establish the run. When you add Jaden Daniels 13 carries, that's 31 rushing attempts, and their 43 total rushing yards combined between Eckler and Robinson were only 7 more than what Jaden Daniels had accumulated the entire game. So it speaks volumes. When I'm bringing this type of a breakdown to you, that's my concern looking back on how this is going to go for this upcoming game against the Lions. But I got a special guest who's going to compliment Lake Lewis Jr., who I haven't been on the airwaves quite some time, who is a multiple-time In or Out Sports Debate Vault of Fame inductee. We got to bring him on back. I just got to bring that show back soon. Got to find the time, but we got to bring him back because me and my man here made some magic happen during those episodes, and we're going to make it happen again, just like this magical mother-fathering season we have seen for 2024 with this team tripling their wins from 2023 from 4 to 8 to now 12. 4 times 3 is 12 if you need a little help out there. I'm helping you. But right here and now, we're going to welcome our next special guest of the program. Again, he is a multiple-time Vault of Fame inductee. He is part of the urban sports scene, and my man out there who knows a lot within this Commanders team. Give it up for my man, Wole Akinso.
What is going on, Drew? How you been, man? It's been too long, bro.
It has been way too long, man. Like, I nearly died. Like, all sorts of expletive has happened out here in these streets, but it's all good because I'm still breathing, and we're back on the air together, and I'm glad to see you're alive and well. And everything is fine for me now. It took some time, but I'm glad you're
good, man. I'm glad you're good.
Thank you. You know, got my own thing crushing over here. You see, the hair's not there anymore. I cut it, but you know that.
Well, I cut my beard a little bit. I got like an hour to go. Yeah, it's not the. Yeah, I see.
Getting the professionalism's back.
Yeah, we gotta be different, man. We gotta be different. 2025, we gotta be different, right?
But that picture, I can't get away from it. I have to keep it. Too many people have complimented me on it. I look like Kevin Nash with the Sartoga.
You do like Kevin Nash. You do look like Kevin Nash. That is true. Click this podcast.
Yeah, there we go. That's a new name. Start a new podcast. Already coming in with the fire. That's what I'm talking about. But you came in right at the perfect time, my man, because I was just talking, like, I have a segment on the Commanders Gridiron Report that I call the Soldiers of the Week. It's the MVPs from the past week. And my picks, we'll see if you agree with them or not. You got De'Ami Brown, who had 5 receptions for 89 yards and a touch, along with Terry McLaurin, who had 7 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. And I was just lighting up Jaden Daniels in the running attack a little bit from this past game, which I'll get you to help me out a little bit with that. But, you know, in the pocket and passing, you know, he did fantastic. You know, 11 incompletions isn't horrible, and you still didn't turn the ball over. You didn't fumble the ball like Bunker Stayfield over there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the 13 carries for 36 yards, even though he is part of the Soldiers of the Week, as the leading rusher, does that concern you going into this game when Eckler was the next top running back with 8 carries for 27 yards?
Yeah, it does. I feel like this team is at its best when it's a 3-headed monster. When I mean 3-headed monster, Jaden, Eckler, and B-Rob. like this team is at its best. We saw that early in the season when all three are running the football well. Like Jaden had to be the leading rusher while all three were running well. They're a pretty dominant offensive scoring team. They're a real potent team. It's the same team that we saw. They didn't really punt the ball against Tampa Bay either. But during the beginning of the season, they didn't really. During the beginning of the season, they really didn't punt the ball. When all three of those dudes were doing the thing, running the football. So, and Jayden, and you want to add that in because Jayden, as the season has gone on, he's been better as a passer in the passing game. So you can tell he's figuring out NFL defenses, and that's what happens when you're a rookie, right? It takes you time to figure things out. But even with them figuring things out in that process, he's still been lights out. And now, since you can tell that he's gotten the comfortability in throwing the football, like he's that much more dangerous. But yeah, I would say it's concerning, but also he's got this type of obviously this Superman mode where it really doesn't matter because he can do pretty much it all. And it's wild to put all that onto a rookie, but that's what he's shown us, right? You don't want to put that all on a young dude, but you show us who you are, and this is who you are. So it's a concern. I won't lie on this show and say it's not a concern. It's a concern. But if somebody can overcome it, it'll be Jayden.
Absolutely. I mean, they made the adjustments in the past offseason with the offensive line, brought in some help with defense, core leadership. Bobby Wagner made the trade for Marshawn Lattimore, which I was concerned about that for 4 weeks because he didn't play, once he was traded over from the Saints. And we haven't seen him but so much, but he did show up in this past game, and the help within the secondary definitely proved. I mean, he is the top leading defender on the Commanders team this past week when he had the 4 tackles and 3 assists, just behind Bobby Wagner, for the top, production on the defense. So looking at it for what it is, he's definitely been a little bit of a help in the secondary, but the thing we need now is consistency from this team. I still believe, it's tough to watch this because one of my good friends from work, his name's Hawk. He's a big Detroit Lions fan. Has grown up, 0-16, all sorts of stuff, and keeps bringing up to me all week about 1991 when we beat Barry Sanders.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And he feels some type of way. I've been talking smack to him all week, saying 35-31 Commanders. Okay, we'll get to the predictions here in a little bit, but looking at how this is, do you believe that my thoughts are correct? If you have Jared Goff in a game like he did not too long ago, throw 5 interceptions, and in that game, he found a way to win.
Yeah.
If you throw 5 interceptions against this Commanders team with the way the offense is, you're not going to win this game.
Yeah, he's not winning. If he wins, but depending on who you play, right? The Commanders are a different team. They're not a fast-scoring team. They're a long drive team. So they win the time of possession. So you turn the ball over 5 times against this Commanders team that's going to hold the ball for a while, you're not going to win the football game. That's not going to be a thing. And it's something that I do want to go back onto in terms of the run game. I do also want to acknowledge, because I feel like a lot of folks have been crapping on B-Rob and whatnot in the run game. And I will say this, the last game, I think it's unfair to crap on B-Rob in the last game because that offensive line got blown up. None of the backs, even Jayden. If you see Jayden's 13 carries for 36 yards per rate, Jayden isn't great, in terms of yards per carry, in terms of the stuff he's done throughout the season. But it just shows how bad that offensive line got beat up against Tampa. So, but yeah, back to this, back to the point of we're just discussing in terms of Detroit, with Detroit and in terms of Detroit, yeah. What was this? What I was saying again? Now I got sidetracked. I got sidetracked. What was I saying before that? I tried to play it off and catch up, but I couldn't catch it back.
We were talking about Jared Goff. If he
sorry, Jared Goff 5 turnovers. Now I'm back. Thank you, Drew. You got me back. Yes, there is no way in HE double hockey sticks that he turns the ball over, has that type of game against Washington, that they're going to lose the game, because it's not like on the flip side when Washington played the Eagles and the Eagles turned the ball over. We turned the ball over that many times. Well, the Eagles are a fast scoring team. They're not a long drive team, right? They need the explosive plays. If you look at Washington, just look at the track record, time possession is a key for Washington to win. So if you turn the ball over 5 times, you're not getting the ball back that many times to come back and score.
And even though, and I was saying what I was saying about those right before you came in here. I was talking about how Eckler and Robinson combined for 18 carries for 43 yards.
Yeah.
What I want to kind of compliment that now with is there was a lot of dink and dunk plays. But those dink and dunk plays were eating up that clock, where when you look at the overview of this game and the fact that the Commanders controlled the clock heavily, 35 minutes, 26 seconds to Tampa Bay's 24 minutes and 34 seconds. And even though I see some similarities between the offense of Detroit and the offense of the Commanders, now that Cliff's here and making the moves that he has made and playing chess within this offense throughout the year. And he even admitted in a presser that he did the other day I was watching, where Dan Quinn has actually helped him establish the running game better than what he did when he was a head coach in Arizona. And even when he spent that time in college for a year before when he went back to college before he came back. Yeah, before he came to Washington this year. So him establishing the run and working with it, even though we're not seeing breakout numbers like we had seen throughout the year with what JD was doing and what B-Rob and Eckler were doing, I still think that they have a formula that can surprise this Lions team to where there's too many people out there thinking they're going to blow out the Commanders. Right. They even had one person say it's going to be 48-6. Said, you are doing drugs. There's no way it's going to be 48-6 out there in Detroit. I can see where it could possibly pull away if they don't make the right moves throughout the game. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be 48-6.
This is my thing about the whole, like, the whole scoring, like the whole Detroit dominating Washington type of thing, which is kind of starting to annoy me. It's more of like Detroit's defense isn't lights out. I don't get like the whole notion, and Washington's offense has throughout the season has been a especially when they play bad defenses, they are pretty much a potent offense. So I don't know how, if you're a Lions fan, how comfortable you could say you're going to stop Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? I get if you feel like you're going to score, that's different. That's a different argument. But understand that if you're like just like you believe that Washington can't stop Detroit's offense, it goes the same way. Like, so when you're in that type of matchup, truth be told, it's whoever has the ball last. That's the mentality that you have to kind of think. So if I'm a Lions fan, I'm not 100% like confident because of like my defense is injured, because my defense is limping in. I'm not solid in cornerback play. I believe I'm 29 against the pass, so I'm not a good pass defense, which is not a good thing going against Washington. I don't have my best pass rusher because he's been out for most of the year in Hutchinson, who you're hoping to have back. If they get to the Super Bowl or whatnot. You don't have your dogs. You're not the same team. I think I saw what's the kid who played for the Cleveland Browns, who now plays for the he plays for the Lions. He played us earlier in the season. So Zerdavius
Smith.
Yeah, Zerdavius. Thank you, Smith.
Yes.
He came out and said he's seen Washington's they're comfortable. Like he's comfortable. He knows they're going to do this, that, and the other. And I sat back and I thought to myself, because he was on that Cleveland team, and we dominated that Cleveland team. But I did give that Cleveland defense props. I just felt like their offense was so bad that we kept them on the field, and they got tired. But I still thought to myself, I was like, you know what? That's a really bad comparison. You know why it's a bad comparison? Because you don't have Cleveland dogs. Like, you don't have their dogs on defense. For you to say that means that the Detroit Lions have the same dogs that the Browns have. The Browns have arguably one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL in Ward. They got, obviously, you can make the argument, the best defensive player in Myles Garrett. You know what I mean? You had the kid who got hurt from Notre Dame, the Notre Dame linebacker. You have all these weapons. Detroit don't got any of those. So why you can't say, like, they could know what's going to happen, and can't stop it. It's a different beast. So all I like to say, like, if I'm a Lions fan, I shouldn't feel confident for this game, like, at all. Like, you should feel like how I feel as a Commanders fan. You should be slightly confident, obviously, because you got home field advantage. Slightly, yeah, I agree. But I've been
slightly confident since the Hail Mary game.
Yeah, exactly. You've been confident since the Hail Mary game, exactly. And understand this.
I was there.
You're there. What I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And this Washington team is a 12-5 team. At 13-5, if you want to count that the latest win in the postseason, they're a 13-5 team. That's a hell of a football team you're playing against for you to feel that confidence. So I agree with you. Like, I don't get that. I don't get why people are that. I don't get why Lions fans are that confident. But go ahead. I'm sorry. That was my soapbox.
I got 33 seconds of greatness from that Hail Mary game that happened in the parking lot.
Toss that ball up in the air.
Washington's still not a playoff team.
And this motherfather just interrupted my interview. But right here, we're going to keep going because we're going to have a great time. Shout out to Dude Man who came on over. But straight up, 12-7 going into the last of the fourth quarter. Jaden Daniels, after the Bears scored a touchdown, went for a 2-point conversion. They were down 15-12. All they needed.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
You like that? You like that?
You know you like that.
I love it.
He's out there talking about they're still not a playoff team and we beat the Bears. Look who's in the playoffs now, and look who they have a fingernail man over there in the Bears. And you know what? On Total Football Talk, I even talked about fingernail man. Let's go to one more clip. Yeah, fingernail man, that's what you are. Guess what? Bowling balls cover fingernail man's fingernail. But you know what you can't cover up? Which is served by big old fat old stinker.
You got me with fingernail, man. Oh my gosh. For those that don't know, yes, Caleb Williams, he likes to paint. I don't know what the heck he wants on his nails.
Makes it more aerodynamic. Ever since the Hail Mary game, I wanted to find a way to insert that, and a few weeks ago I was able to find a way to do that on our morning show that we do on Mondays, where we talk all things football.
That was perfect. That was actually perfect. That was perfect.
But with all of the drama that they've got going on there, I'd say that we got the best quarterback in this past draft, and he literally fell to us because we didn't have the number one overall pick.
I feel like, I mean, and I said this because, Caleb is a local kid from here. So, I like Caleb. I think he had a, I feel like there's levels to quarterbacking, right? And what Jaden's doing is special, you know what I mean? And it's like at this, you see it, it's greatness, right? You see greatness. All the rookie quarterbacks, though, the guys who really started for most of the season, the guys that were drafted pretty high, they're all pretty good. I was wrong about Bo Nix. Bo Nix is going to be, seems that he's going to be a really good NFL quarterback. Caleb had, if you look at the stats of all these young quarterbacks, you would really drop. It'd be 5 years ago from now. 5 years ago, if it was 5 years ago, you would be saying either of those dudes were rookie of the year. That's how good this season is. Or if you look at their stats, the wins and losses, you can't determine who you play for, which coaches coach you up. But in terms of stats, you can say dude, just for a rookie, that's a good year. But there's levels to it. What Jaden's doing is just special. You know what I mean? But I've also said this too, because people had the same the same thought process with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud last year, right? I mean, and then coming into the season, they were like, oh, what happened to CJ Stroud? Man, he did take his team to the postseason, but they started looking at CJ Stroud a certain way. And he won a playoff game, right? But the talk before the playoff, they were like, this has been a down year for CJ Stroud. We expected him to take the next level. So you never know what year to year comes. But the way I've always stated it, because I try to not make sure, I don't want to bite myself. I don't want to punch myself later. I always say, right now, Jane got the lead hot. He hot with the lead. Nobody else is in his class. He got the lead easy. But we'll see when it comes to year 1, year 2, year 3, or whatever, because I remember even being real, because I try not to jinx myself. I'm real superstitious. That's why I'm not even trying to guarantee anything, because I did that with RG3 and I was wrong. But
yes,
you look at the guy we're playing this week on tomorrow. Remember his draft, and remember who was the same quarterback with him, and everybody looked like the other quarterback more than they liked him.
Ooh.
And look who's still balling, and look who's not.
Yes.
So I'm always very careful to not try to poke the bear. I know we all as fans, because for some strange reason, them Chicago Bear fans are over the top. But I know we like to poke the bear, but I remember that often. I'm that's how I was initially. Initially was let's see, like folks were saying, like the Eagles got a better quarterback, and it played out a different way. So for me, it's like I'm always like, we got the lead, we good. Our guy is him. You know what I mean? We're good. But I always try to also give the other quarterbacks their flowers, because I just feel like, you know, at the end of the day, we don't know how, in terms of 5 years, 6, 10 years, we don't know how it's going to play out.
Very, very well said. And I kind of want to take that momentum from what you just said into the next segment, because we now need to break it down into the showstopper.
I off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feet the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Shout out to our guy J.KUL for the music, as he is a friend of the program, making that Commanders theme. When we look at the showstopper and the wild card win that they have, what adjustments do you think that they need to truly make? I know we were talking about the run game and you know, how they need to kind of get a little bit more productive there, but defensively, special teams, what are you seeing that they can make adjustments for this Detroit Lions team?
Man, I wish it could it could happen, but you know, this has been a trend all year. Just contain the run, man. Like, as on the defensive side, like stop. I'm not going to even say stop. I think that's
Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, that's whatever. I'm gonna say contain the run game, man. Like, just get to a point where you're getting them in 3rd and long, and that's it, man. Get them in 3rd and long, and then try to make Jared Goff beat you. But in terms of what they got to fix compared to what they did on against Tampa, it's like try to limit the run game, because Bucky Irvin had some gashing runs where I'm just sitting there like, all right, y'all, man, like, come on, man, like, if you want to win this football game, we're going against a thorough run team in Detroit. Yeah, we could talk about how much points they put up and throwing the ball, got great tight ends, 2 good receivers, but it all starts in the run with that team in Detroit. It starts with the run game, and then Montgomery's back, so you already know they got that 2-headed monster back. So for me, I'm like, yo, like, it's something they got to fix, and they really got to iron it out. It's got to be like, just try to get this team averaging at least, like, I'm not 3 yards a carry. Try to let them average 3 yards a carry.
I'm with you on that, because I mean, Irving had 17 carries, 77 yards last week, averaged nearly 5 yards per carry, 4.5 yards. Yeah. So you can't give up that type of production, because they call literally Gibbs and Montgomery Sonic and Knuckles over there in Detroit. So, and they like to run the ball. They like to wear down the other side. My concern is that my concern for their adjustments, they also need to figure out, which, I mean, by now they would have had to, because they've had all week to practice tomorrow's game time, is, you know, piping the crowd noise, because you're in a dome. And you had played in New Orleans. You played in other situations where it can get loud, especially when you had the Monday night game against the Bengals, against Joe Burrow, and had that Monday night win, which was a great win to watch.
Yes, it was.
Coming into Detroit, into Ford Field, with the adjustments, you're talking about the run, with the defense against the run. I'm going to sit here and say, hopefully they've adjusted to that, the atmosphere with the crowd. Special teams needs to remain consistent, because Zane Gonzalez is like the 6th kicker for this Commanders franchise this year, going back from the McManus and, you know, the issue that he had. I'm not going to get into that, because we've already talked enough about that earlier in the year. But now we've gone to the 6th kicker, Zane Gonzalez there. Seibert had 7 of 7 field goals that first game, and now we're at Zane Gonzalez, who doinked for the divisional. I would say another adjustment they've got to get to is Gonzalez got to stop playing with the right side of the uprights, because the ones that he has come close to missing or missed this year keep hooking to the right. He needs to keep hooking a little bit to the left.
You're right.
So, and it gives me, as somebody who is on blood pressure medicine now after having a scare a couple years ago, all right, back to here and now. Can't be going through all this too much. I've stuck to stay loyal to this team. You already know about the half sleeve right here. We talked about that before. Can't take that away. But don't you kill somebody out here with these cardiac games. Now y'all got to hook it a little bit to the left.
I'm with you with that. I like that. I like about Zane. Zane does hook to the right a lot. You know what, dog? I'm with kickers. I'm just like, compared to what we were dealing with prior to Zane, before, like, with obviously Cyber being down and we try and the other replacement, like, I mean, yeah, I'm cool. let's get it done, man. Cyber being, excuse me, take that back. Cyber chicken hurt, and they come back to Zane. Yeah, I'm cool with this. Let's let it work. But I'm with you. Go ahead.
My bad, go ahead.
No, go, Drew.
Oh, no, you're good. My bad.
No, I'm good. I'm definitely good. I'm good.
All right, cool. The only other thing I was gonna throw out there was you can't be Dan Campbell Jr. Dan Quinn. Right?
That was it. You got it. That was it.
Yes.
That was it.
Yes.
That was it.
Yes.
That was mine.
Yeah, okay.
That was mine.
We were on the same page.
Yeah,
yes.
that was mine.
Because 3 of 5 for fourth downs.
Yeah.
In the first 2 you missed.
Yeah.
Where I was yelling at the TV, and I even got on Facebook, was yelling on Facebook in all caps, take the points. Take the points. You'd only be down by 1 right now if you took or you'd still be up by 1 or whatever it was I was putting at that time. And looking at how things transpired, you got lucky because you get down into the red zone, and you're on fourth down, fourth and a little long at this point. Wasn't it like 4th and 11 or something at that point? Like it was, or 4th and 7, 4th and 11, something like that. I can't remember.
For the touchdown?
Yeah, if I go here, actually, it'll tell me because
that's 4th and 7, right?
4th.
You mean we went for it and we didn't get it?
No, that was the field goal. The ones I was saying for the field goals, but I'm talking about later in the game when Terry McLaurin caught the 5-yard pass is what it was.
Okay.
On fourth down, it was 9 minutes and 46 seconds left. It's not telling me what the fourth and long was on this site, but all I know is it was fourth down there in the red zone. I want to say it was like 4th and 11 if I remember right.
When Terry caught
the touchdown right there.
Touchdown
in the
pass. Yeah.
Yeah, the last one where they went up 20-17 at that point, went right before they hit the tying field goal.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. That was the one they didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
The one they didn't get before. So Terry caught the touchdown with Baker fumbled.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the prior series, right?
This was like in the first half when they.
You're talking about the first half. When he threw it the middle. Yeah.
Yes.
That was 4th and long because they didn't want to kick the field goal. That was because Jaden got hit and he dunked it. He threw it to somebody's feet. Is that the play you're talking about? I forgot how long that was, but I didn't want them to go for that one either. They were giving up. They were throwing away too many points.
That's the one concern I have because if I remember right, the production wise on fourth down, the Commanders were actually better than the Lions this year on fourth down.
Oh, they were good. They were better.
The Lions just go for it too many times.
Yeah,
and they were at the top of it for the past few years, but the Commanders actually trumped them this year with that being I think they were either the top or second behind.
They were Washington. They converted more for like the percentages were better. Like the Lions did like way more, but the percentages of Washington was better. Like I think Washington only had 3 misses on fourth down. 3 misses on fourth down. They were
3 of 5, so they had 2 this past week. Oh, you're talking about the entire regular season.
The regular season.
I think it was only
regular season.
Yeah.
Talk about regular season, not the postseason. I'm not even counting the postseason. That was different.
Yeah,
what they was doing, I ain't gonna lie. We've been going forward a lot, but what we did against Tampa was something totally different. I ain't gonna lie. I felt like that was even different from what we did in the regular season.
And people have been tripping on that throughout the week, and I've been saying, go back to Atlanta Falcons days. Look at what Dan Quinn was doing then. Look at how things transpired in that Super Bowl against Brady, okay?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a surprise to you that he likes to go for it on fourth down. And it does seem like he's learned in some errors of his ways. But the adjustments like we talked about, you're talking about defense containing the run of the Lions. I'm talking about hopefully they've adjusted into the atmosphere. And we're going to sit here and at least say, besides the field goal kicker, we'll give him a little bit of a break for the doink. You got to be a little bit more cautious with the full fourth down conversion. But at the same time, you might have to be a little bit more. You might have to be a little bit more up there and aggressive with it this week because of who you're playing. What do you think?
I agree with that. I agree with it. I just want you to just be like smart with it. That's all. But I put it this way: I expect them to go for it even more than they did against Tampa. I won't lie to you. I do expect that. Now, I think if you got points on the board, take the points. If it's fourth and 3, like take the points. All right. If it's 4th and 1, I'm cool with 4th and 1. 4th and 1 doesn't bother me. Like it's 4th and 1. Like I feel like that's a man up mentality. It's 4th and 1, man up. Like it's only 1 yard. Like show me the offensive line. Show me that you got something. My running back, show me that you got something. I'm cool with 4th and 1. But when we talk about 4th and a long 2 or 4th and 3, we at a point we get points. An easy chippy, take the points. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at. But you know what? It worked for them. That's why, therefore, I am not the head coach. And they still won the football game, even doing all that. I remember I was tweeting during the game, and I said, using explicit word, take the points. I know, you know what I'm saying? I said, take the something points. And somebody hit me up and was like, no, this is aggressive. This actually, I'm not really mad at this. You know, I'm glad they were this aggressive. And I was like, well, you know what? We'll see how it plays out. And then the other individual hit me back, was like, yeah, we barely got by. It worked out, but it barely got by. I said, you know what? You're right. It worked out. So we barely got by. So I was like, all right, we won. So, but in this game against Detroit, I guess it may work into Washington's favor to do it. Like, to your point, I think what you're talking about, like you raising that question, because you have a coach of the other side who's willing to do the same thing. So I guess, you know, both teams will start trading downs.
Keep thinking about that with the whole trading downs. I like that. We'll keep thinking about that. Let's take that on into our next segment, where we have to really talk about that opponent.
Look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep?
Here at the opponent of the week, we've been talking about him for the past couple segments, but let's truly get there as the Washington Commanders, who are 13-5, travel to Detroit's Ford Field. Take on the Detroit Lions, who are 15-2 this past regular season for the divisional playoff round. It's prime time again for JD this Saturday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on January 18th. This is the point where we brought a lot of what they could do in the adjustments that they should do. Let's talk about what we truly think is going to happen. When the clock strikes 0, final score, I know you don't want to jinx them, but my thought is, if you get down to 2 minutes left in this game, and it is a one-possession game, and the Commanders have the ball, and it's 2 minutes or less, they're winning this mother expletive game, okay? They're going to do this, okay? That's what I think. I've been saying, I had a dream the other day. My man Hawk at work, who's a Lions fan, has been trying to butcher me all week, because we're supposed to be watching this game tomorrow night together over at B-Dubs with some other people from work, okay? We'll be watching this game. My prediction is 35-31 Commanders.
That's what's up. I like it. I'm going to tell you what I've been doing of late. If anybody peep game, I have not picked Washington for like 6 weeks in a row. And
you picked against them for 6 weeks in a row?
And look what's happening.
Oh.
look what's happening.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay consistent. Run this thing to New Orleans, buddy.
Hell to the no, no. Hell no, to the no.
Ever since
you knew I was going to click that button.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Ever since the Cowboys, the Cowboys game that we, because I was picking ever since the Cowboys game, we lost that home Cowboys game because the Cowboys were trash. I'm very superstitious too.
They are this?
This has been yet another Beating a Dead Horse presentation.
Exactly. That squad. Once we lost to that squad at home, I was like, I'm not picking this team throughout, like, until whatever. And it's been working ever since. And I was like, you know what? Not gonna stop. So I have it so I'm on the I think Big Doug from the Big Doug Show has a graphic that he always picks. I believe I picked Washington. So I believe I picked Detroit 34, Washington 30. I think that was the score I put out there. So that's the score I put out there. But I'm using my
both
Nigerian.
predicting within 4 points, just different sides.
Yeah, I'm using my Nigerian voodoo. So you know what I mean. Last week, and it's been good. It's been good.
So your voodoo has led to this.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
You can say so. You can.
I
say
like
so.
it because
where
the Steelers lost 5 straight, we won 5 straight.
Exactly. Just saying. I'm just saying. Like as soon as like I flip the switch, you know, I feel like they should give me credit, but they probably won't. The team should give me credit. They should have a statue of me. Real talk. To be honest with you.
I'm gonna give you credit.
Yeah, I think so. They should have a statue for me because the sacrifice. I've picked. Look, the last game of the season, I picked the Cowboys. You know how much that hurt.
The fact that you did that.
Stop it. Get some help. That's how bad. Look, I had to contemplate my whole thing, man. I had to contemplate. I was like, damn. I was like, oh my God, do I want to like this is sacrifice? I'm doing it for like the team. Like I had people who seen it on social media who text me like, what are you doing? Like what you like? Why are you picking? Like I was like, man, like it's been working. Don't make me change. Like don't make me change. I don't want to change. And something bad happens, I'm gonna be mad, and I'm gonna be mad at you, not me, because I wasn't gonna. I knew what I was doing. I'm gonna be mad at you. I'm gonna be mad at you for convincing me to change. You know what I mean?
You gotta be yourself, my man.
Exactly.
You gotta be yourself.
But yeah, so yeah. But that's my prediction. I'm sticking with it.
I mean, you've been covering the Commanders. I mean, I have too in different ways and different platforms and different content. But this is my second consecutive year with this show. So to come back with somebody starts a show for a team that's 4-13. To be able to come back, I'm going to sit here and admit here right before this playoff game, I almost didn't bring the show back. I was like, I don't know if I go through this again because I wasn't in the rhythm of doing it. You know, I got several other projects to do out here. So it's like sometimes you got to put one to the wayside. I almost did it. I'm happy that I didn't do that, and I stuck through it each and every week with this team throughout this year. We got 42 episodes now, and the fact that they tripled their wins from last year a result was a total
surprise, motherfucker.
That's my new. That's one of my new. That's like I know I'm just started binge watching that show. I just finished the season.
Dexter, yeah.
I finished it last week. I'm late. I'm late to Dexter. What a great show. Sorry.
So you haven't seen the prequel one yet?
I'm going to. Now. So it's wild. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like I saw the one. So it was all off order. I saw the latest version when he was we tried to isolate Dexter as an adult when he left and he isolated himself. So I saw that on the plane. I was on the plane. I watched all the episodes on the plane. They had it on the plane. So I watched we isolated. He met Harrison as an adult. Harrison was an adult. And so I saw that. I got hooked. I was like, this show is really good. Like, oh, okay, this is what this Dexter's about. So I went back. So when I had time, I don't know what I just had time like last month, and I watched all of it. But I saw the ads for the prequel. I want to watch that now. Now that's next. I'm going to watch the prequel. Have you watched the prequel yet?
Not yet. Not yet. But I have heard some good things from other people that have watched it.
Yeah, I heard it's good. I heard it's really good.
I'm waiting until after football season, bro.
Yeah, I know it's hard, right? That's the thing. It's hard. It's hard.
Like between working full time in IT and then doing this and then the multiple shows I have throughout the week, and I work 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. with a 45-minute drive to there and back if I don't hit traffic. And actually, to be honest to you, later tonight, I'm going to be going in. I'm on call tonight. I work Monday through Thursday, but I'm on call tonight. I'm going in for a little bit after I do one more podcast here in a little bit. But this show was more important for me today because, I got the chance to get up with you and with Lake today. You're predicting 34-30. I'm hoping it flips and your voodoo works. And I'm hoping that my pick works too.
I hope you're.
Regardless, you just got to be happy with what we
we play my house money. We're playing with house money, though. That's the first. I think if all Commander fans are watching this show, you got to also understand this. Like, for me personally, too, I'll say this. Like, going into the season, I said we're in the Travis Hunter Bowl. That's how I looked at this season. Like, we're in the Travis Hunter Bowl. And I was cool with it. I ain't going to lie to you. Because of the people they brought in, I didn't think these guys were going to be good enough or the talent was good enough to even win 5 games. Not alone. Like, they won 13 games this year. So, to me, this team for the season winning 12 games, like finished the regular season winning 12 games. The 13 now counting the postseason game. Like everything is house money, man. Like that's the thing. Like, yes, if something bad happens against Detroit, which we all don't want to happen, we're gonna be a little annoyed and perturbed because I know I would be pissed off, for like that first day, for that day. But then I'll settle in and be like, you know what, it was a great season. Like because. And when the season started, nobody was saying we're going to win a playoff game. That wasn't a thought process. I would make the argument, real talk, that we probably had how I looked at it. We probably had more talent. I felt like we did last year than this year. We just have better coaches. So like, just to have all of this happen now, man, you can't tell me nothing. And we beat Detroit though. People, y'all thought I was ignorant, but like y'all thought, like I know y'all think I'm nice. you're gonna see the real ignorant side of me, because I have suppressed my ignorant side in such a long time. I'm telling you, man, if I see a Cowboy fan, I see an Eagle fan, I am going to say the most outlandish stuff to you. Period. Like, man, we beat Detroit. You can't tell me nothing at all. I will say Super Bowl like often, even though I'll pick the team
this week. The Rams are going to beat the Eagles this week, in my opinion.
That'd be great.
Because before this matchup happened between the Lions and the Commanders, I said week 1, my early prediction was Bills and Lions Super Bowl.
I know. Yeah,
we're still close to that.
Yeah.
With what Josh Allen has done with the Bills this year since Stephon Diggs has left. I believe if it wasn't Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson has the cheat code King Henry. I think Josh Allen deserves it based on what he's done with Les.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, this game that we're going to see this weekend is going to be basically for the MVP.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And so when it comes to that, if we didn't have those players, King Henry and Saquon, I think JD would definitely be in the talks for not just the Rookie of the Year. But
I agree.
Be within the top 3 of MVP if we didn't have all these better players.
I agree.
Those 4 ahead of him. Mm-hmm. Done some remarkable things this year. Looking at this, like you were talking about, you didn't expect him to win 5 games. I predicted a 9-8 record because I thought Dan Quinn could turn him around a little bit. And that's what I said previous to week 1 and after that last preseason game. And this was a total surprise for me too. So absolute a great year to watch this and to have your program watching what you guys are doing over there, having what we're doing over here, and being part of watching this team each and every week. It has been a blast to watch. Just want to take it to one last segment we have as we wrap up the show, and that is into the final drive, where we give our final thoughts and engage the comments from the comment section out here in the show.
We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan never live with regret. Yes, sir.
And here with the final drive, let's talk about what they're saying out here in the chat. Looks like Dante, our resident Eagles fan, is saying that the Payne and Allen combo will make it difficult to run on in this game.
We'll see.
You think so? Okay.
Well, no. I said we'll see. I said we'll see.
Yeah,
and I root for these two dudes. How would you say? Would you say?
He's trying to keep the voodoo going, Dante.
No. Just don't say we'll make it difficult to run. Like, I'll say this. No, not really. It's just that I root for Payne and Allen. Like, I'm really like, I know the fan base, they like, a lot of folks hate on them, but I root for them. But they gotta give me a reason to root for them, because they haven't stopped the run. Like, together, like, I need them to be dominant. Like, they need to be dominant. Not good, not any other. They can't just be a guy. Like, they're the Bama Wall. Like, they're the Alabama Wall. Like, I want them to be like the year the Payne got paid, like how they played in unison back like then. If they could play like that, this defense would be 10 times better.
I think it would be a better matchup if somehow the Commanders and Eagles could find ways to win against the top 2 teams, against these 2 teams they had to face this week, and it's another divisional matchup for the NFC Championships and decide who goes to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I just, if Hollywood was writing this, it's going to be Stafford versus the Lions in Ford Field for the NFC Championship, for him to try to go through his old team.
That'd be a good one too. I didn't think about that way. I'm thinking like the Hollywood thing would be like, because I guess I'm in it, right? We're all in it. We're in our own little perspectives. And like, Eagle fans been complaining like crazy about Jalen Hurts, right? And I think Hollywood perspective is like, okay, like you thought we was going to beat you. You thought you ought to beat us if Jalen Hurts stayed throughout the whole game. Okay, this is your opportunity. We're in Philadelphia, part 3. We took one, you took one. It's part 3. Let's do it.
Yeah, because we did play against the gift that keeps giving and Kenny Pickett. So
but they still scored 30-some odd points against us.
Mm-hmm. He was not the gift that keeps on giving like Will Levis, but he still kept giving gifts in that game. But Dante even says the Washington front is going to make it very interesting against the Lions. Mickey Delaney says, I say Lions 30, Commanders 50.
Wow. Okay, Mickey, I see you.
Mick's a Seattle fan, and I appreciate that, but that truly was.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And if that happens, I will be out here like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, one of the best Christmas movies of all time.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That's a Christmas
Followed
movie.
up with the Bud Light commercial. What's that?
What's that? What's that?
King of the button clicking. But yes, Thank you, Mick, for saying 50-30 Commanders over the Lions. That would be absolutely great if that happens, and I have not seen anybody predict that. So you would
Yeah, I have not that
hit
score.
the lottery if you do that. Play the lottery tonight, bro.
Yeah,
Let's see
please
if you hit
play.
it with that.
Play.
Dante says, I'm more confident in Washington making stops against Detroit versus Detroit making a stop plus Daniels making.
I like that though. That I do like. I do like that.
That's
point.
our comment of the podcast.
I like
right
that
now
one
so far. You get the Soldier of the Week award for that comment, Dante. My man
I like
out
that
there.
one.
That's what I'm talking about.
That one, yeah, I like that one.
He also says, I just thought about this. Daniels is the best quarterback they've seen all year. When they played other good quarterbacks, the game has been close. I
It's on
like
Josh
that,
Allen.
but you got to look
Josh
at what
Allen,
they did
right.
against Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Josh Allen smacked him, right? And he smacked him. Josh Allen smacked him.
48-42 was that final score.
Yeah.
That was back in December.
Well, I will say this
Josh
to
Allen scored 2 touchdowns.
I'll say this with Dante's point, which I've kind of had this. That this is like my thing. Like they haven't seen a lot of great quarterbacks, but the ones they have seen, to Dante's point, they haven't dominated. And I've even said this, like they're not really good against running quarterbacks. Because even Caleb Williams has success against their defense, and he's with his mobility, and Caleb is not even close to Jaden Daniels in terms of mobility.
In the first game.
Yeah, in the first game. Yeah, in the first game.
The first game when they won 23-20.
Yeah,
and even against CJ Stroud, they only won by 3 points.
They're not
23.
Yeah. So, and in terms of how much did Caleb score on them in the second game? Like score.
How much did Caleb score on them himself?
No, how much did the offense score?
They had 2 passing touchdowns, and that was it for the Bears.
But what was the score in that game?
34-17, and that was the one they had for the
yeah. Well, our offense is 10 times better. Like if you let them, like our offense is 10 times better than them. I guess that's my point. Like they scored 17, and their offense to me isn't the greatest offense. Their offense is meh. Our offenses can score 30, and if Caleb if they can get that type of success, I feel like to Dante's point, I think Jaden can do big work against them. And like you said, CJ Stroud was struggling this year. You know what I mean? But he's a capable quarterback. You know what I mean? I feel like to his point, they haven't seen elite quarterback play. They just haven't.
I like that. Apparently, Billy Mack says RG2 messed up RG3.
Who's RG2?
It's pretty interesting.
RG2?
RG2 messed up RG2.
Who's RG2?
Who is RG2? Billy Mack, help us out there.
I know RG3. What you mean RG2? Are you calling? Yeah, I don't know that one. I'm sorry.
You're gonna Billy Mack and Chi, help us out here in these streams. We need to know what's going on with that one. And just want to say thank you for taking care of Tampa Bay, but we are going all the way now.
Yeah, you were scared of Tampa Bay? Oh, he wasn't even scared of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay wasn't there. I don't think they were. I mean, they weren't the same Tampa Bay that you guys saw early in the season, put it that way.
And out of the 4 games that we have this weekend in divisional round, this is a good question for us to end it off with before we get on out of here. Which coach makes the ultimate bad call to cost their team the game? I know you got to think about how you're going to work this voodoo so it comes back.
No, it's cool. I can be. No, the score is different.
Okay, all right, cool.
How I said. For me, I think it's gonna be Dan Quinn. I mean, not Dan Quinn. Sorry, not Dan Quinn. Dan Campbell. I think Dan Quinn. He just does too much.
On a 4th down call.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 4th down call that there's no reason why he should go for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just that type of dude. He did it last year against San Fran. He's just that type of dude. I think you can do that. It's cool to do that in the regular season. I think it's okay. But in the postseason, if you have momentum, if you have the better team, the quote unquote the better team, I feel like there's no need for you to really have to go for it that many times when you quote unquote believe that you're going to beat a team. I feel like in Washington's case, like when you're the underdog, you're more inclined to go for it. If that makes any sense. You're the road team and you're the supreme underdog. I think they're like 10-point dogs or something like that. Like you're more inclined to go for it because everything matters. You want 7 because this team is believed to be a potent offense, a potent team. So on the flip side, if you're Detroit, there's no real need to do all of that. But Dan Campbell can't help himself. So I would say Dan Campbell would be the one.
I'm going to piggyback on that one. I'm going to say I like the prediction there. At some point within this game between both teams and their coaches being aggressive on fourth down, it's going to have to cost them at some point. You got to look at a little bit of rust being off a week. Sometimes that's come back to bite you. It's happened twice since 2019. You look at when the Packers were upset when they were the number 1 seed, and there was another team as well that did it. I was just talking to my man Hawk about this yesterday at work because I wanted to make sure that he remembered that it's not going to be a total surprise. Like it can happen. A 6 seed can upset when you look at how history has repeated itself at certain points. So it was the first time was in the 2019 to 2020 playoffs within the past few years, and that was actually when number 6 Tennessee beat number 1 Baltimore. If you remember that one, when Mike Vrabel was the head coach in the divisional round. It can happen, so don't be totally surprised.
And we're a different 6 seed, bro. I mean, I'm being real with you. We finished the season 12-5. We ain't an ordinary 6 seed.
Oh, we got to answer. He's saying his dad messed him up. I remember seeing stories about RG3 dad, RG2. Okay.
I'm
gonna have to do a little bit more research on this afterwards at some point. I'm very interested to see what this is. This is the first time I'm hearing the RG2 to RG3 comparison.
Yeah.
And he says,
he's talking about. Oh, I got it. I get him. He's talking about RG2's father. I mean, RG3's father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his father messed him up. He's right. His father was doing all the talking. He befriended Dan Snyder. If that's what he's talking about. If that's what he's referring to, his father befriended Dan Snyder. That's how they kind of messed up the whole organization. Messed up Shanny because Shanny was like, "Why is his father in the building so much?" And Shanny was like, it's not a good look. So the whole thing was RG3 and the family was kind of doing too much at the time Redskins organization. So he's saying RG2 messed up RG3. I get it. Then I get that.
Makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, that's how I guess Mike Shanahan became Mike Shundahan, because that's literally what happened after that.
True.
When everything fell apart. So last thing I'll bring up with Dante saying this, because he's been on point this week with what he said on our other shows we've had on the network. He said, "I just have a feeling that Washington is going to beat Detroit. They are playing with no fear and no expectation of the ultimate underdog."
I agree. I think there's a lot of arrogance going around from their. It seems like from the players, even fans, content creators, it's crazy. I just feel like there's no reason. I'm gonna say it again. There's no reason. Let me say this as a Washington fan. There's only one team that's dominated Washington throughout this season. There's only one team that's really dominated Washington. That was Tampa in week 1. There's only one team. And that was a far different Washington team that we've seen today. And then we've seen them how they've been better week by week. They're going to always be in a game because they have JD5. You don't have a top tier D. If you don't have it, and this is not even being a fan and being real. If you don't have a top tier defense, they're going to be in the game. And you don't have a top tier defense. They've seen some of the better defenses in the NFL already. They played against your Eagles team, and they put up 30 some odd points in the Eagles team. And the Eagles have, to me, arguably a talented, good defense. They do. I'm just being real. The Steelers have a good defense. They put up 27 to 30 points against the Steelers. They were close. They gave up points on the field. Played the Ravens, scored against the Ravens. Tennessee has a good defense. Tennessee was a top 5 defense, believe it or not. They scored 30 plus against Tennessee. So if you don't have a if you don't have a top tier defense, you shouldn't feel confident when you're going against JD5.
I love it. Definitely well said with your thoughts you've brought to the show today, my brother. And I'm going to stand behind one thing and reiterate it from what I said on Monday before we roll out.
Any final thoughts you have before we let the tribe go?
Yes. Detroit Lions and your fans you need to go back a little over a decade and watch an episode of The Breakfast Club when Birdman was on it. And just like he said, you need to put a little speck on my name. You need to put a little speck on the name of the Commanders, because you are not showing the speck. I'm already seeing some things from a man hawk that I'm very disappointed about on Instagram story. And I'm going to clip this out and I'm going to show it to you when I come into work today. Because you need to put a little speck on the name of the Commanders. They're going to come in there. They might not be biting off your kneecaps like you bite off others, but they're going to be hungry too. And they're going to run around, and the game is going to be a little closer than what you think. You may win, even though I'm going to sit here and tell you that you're not. It's over. The Commanders are going to win, and they're going to upset you, and you're going to get beat by him, JD. Absolutely. I hope it's not arrogant. It's just confident, because that's what I want to see happen tomorrow night.
I love it. I love it, man. I love the energy, man. I love it. And
Hey,
you got
man,
the right to be this way. You got the right to feel this way.
We finally get to be passionate and enjoy what we're seeing. We've been covering it, but we finally, just like Lake was talking about to start the show, and you and I are talking about to end it, it's finally great to cover a winner. Yeah, like it's been a tough 19 years.
Yeah, and I say, like, everybody's a winner, man. Like, obviously, first off, team players, they deserve it. Coaches, they deserve it. You know what I mean? And some of the players who got to survive, right, and still stay on this team, because a lot of the Rivera guys are gone, but they deserve it for what they had to deal with and go through. Just in terms of like organization, coaching, they deserve this. Fans, they deserve this, man. Like, I mean, I've been blessed, you know, even though I was still a young dude. I was a young dude, but I was still of age to remember football and watch football and play some football. Like when they won in 91, I remember every game like it was yesterday. You know what I mean? That season resonates with me. Best season, I always say the best season of football I've ever seen. I don't care if you can say that I'm being a fan or whatever, but that was the best season of football I've ever seen in the NFL of one team of dominance to complete a season. Then I seen them make the playoffs with Brad Johnson. So I've seen them go to play, and then Coach Gibbs 2.0. So I've seen this team in the postseason. I've seen them kind of been around. But like fans who haven't really experienced anything like that, you know, they were teased and ripped away with 2012. Like, I get it. Like, y'all thought that was going to be your year. Then Kirk came in and thought he has a chance, but that didn't really pan out like you wanted to. But this is the real, and Rivera, you know, his first year during the COVID thing, but that wasn't really a year thing you thought you could sustain because they were under 500. But you see a guy that's the face of your franchise, and J.D. Daniels, they deserve this. Like the young fans deserve this. So I'm glad like that's a thing for me. And content creators, man, we winning now, man. We winning because of this, man. Numbers go up because when you're dealing with a winner, man, that's just keep the buck. No, because everybody wants to listen to a winner, man. So it is what it is.
You've been loving the shorts and the TikTok reels and all that stuff.
You know what it is.
So, man, you got some new friends out of it too. So we've all been, you know, expanding our contacts out here. But man, it's been an honor, joy, and privilege to be back up on the airwaves with you. Look forward to doing it again sometime soon. And this is the first time that we've done this since I kind of ran off and started my own thing. So, you know, we've done different things. I've been different platforms, but to those who are watching this show now on my platform or Sartoba Media or on our friend Team MBS Media as well, for those of you watching there, let them know where they can find you at before we get on out of here.
Yeah, you can find me on X. Yeah, say X. That's at Wole, WOLE _USS. That's Urban Sports Team, like a little our short for Urban Sports Team. But again, WOLE _USS. You can find this on the Urban Sports Team on X as well, just at Urban Sports Team. Just search that on all social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, YouTube. We're everywhere, man. You know what I mean? Our podcast, you can search our podcast, Urban Sports, and we out there. So.
And make sure you go back and check out his show he just did a little while ago with Candy Waller, talking similar things to what we talked about tonight. Yep. Another great edition. I was able to check out a little bit, but I had to get ready to start this up so that way it was going when you came on.
Yeah. So. You got to start living. You always worry about your show. That's what you got to do. Worry about your show. I'm all about
always go back and watch the replay.
Yeah, so. I'm all about, exactly. So there's always a replay. Like, I'm all about everybody eating. That's all. I've always said that, but like about this platform, I mean, and about content creators, especially for like Commander content creators. We got room for everybody to eat. So I'm always wishing the best. And I want everybody to do better numbers than me. Like I want everybody to kill. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Do you worry about you?
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there together, though.
You know it, buddy. You know it, buddy.
We're gonna have it. We only got one more thing left to do before we get on out of here, and that's look at one badass outro from my man Wole Akinso as well as Lake Lewis Jr. I am Drew Willingham, and as always, please stay safe out here in these streets.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side, Commanders, where my soldiers, left side, Commanders, where my soldiers, watch the middle, Commanders, where my soldiers, now we step, where my soldiers, right side, Commanders, where my soldiers, left side, now we step, where my soldiers, watch the middle. Commanders, where my soldiers,
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
You don't have to go home, but you got to get your cell phone up out of here. Thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll catch you back here next week.